already started the show, but I forgot to let you in. I think I just did. Hello, the show has started. So yeah, Susan, I apparently played the intro for you and me.
I didn't hear the intro.
You didn't? Well, then I played it for myself, and then here you are.
I did hear "Here's Lynn Cullen."
Oh, you did? Well, that's the
Yeah.
intro. Anyway, whatever. I think I got everybody on board now. Sorry, guys, the audience. I mucked up. What else is new? Oi, yeah, you said it's your birthday month. Yeah, so well, at the end, you got a ways to wait. What is that
I gotta
thing
wait
about?
a whole month.
Yeah, so what is that thing? I never understood it, but
The RRR.
no.
What?
Time. How time goes so fast when you're
And
old.
so slow all at the same time,
No,
depending?
fast when you're old. How the months
Fast when you're old.
And slow when you're young. And I remember Mom
No, I was just
explaining
lying
that once.
here. It's actually this morning sitting here because I had received an email proclaiming that it was July 1st and thinking, it's my birthday month. And then I thought, geez, I'm going to be, this old, and I've gone, and I don't mean this to be, sad, but it's been over 11 years since my husband died. And I'm going, how did that happen?
Yeah.
How can I have just gone on and lived all that time?
Yeah. Right.
Since that event, it doesn't even seem possible. Well, and I was trying to figure out how that happened, and the answer is I went to sleep and I got up, and I went to sleep and I got up, and I went to sleep and I got up, and I did it for 11 years, and that's how I got here. It's but yeah, time goes much faster when you are older, because that's sort of my eldest grandchild's whole lifetime.
Yeah.
And that seems a whole lot longer than the amount of time I've been without my husband, if you know what I mean.
No, I know. Time is so strange, but it flies when we're nearing the end. And there's something to that. I'm telling you that R.K. Deutsch once explained to Mother, there's a scientific, mathematical,
there's a physics to the time
physics
thing, yes.
to the way, and because it's physics, right away my brain shuts off and I don't comprehend it. But there is a reason why time flies when you're old. And the months just, how in old movies, to show the passage of time, they have a calendar with the months,
pages ripping off.
Yeah, flying off. And that's what that's what it feels like.
Well, it's actually like that at my house in Chicago, because I keep a calendar in my kitchen, and I was looking at it yesterday. It was 3 months off.
Yeah.
I come and go. I don't always change the calendar, so I was doing the page ripping thing.
I think it's odd how, I'm sorry, I'm obsessing on this today, how hours go slowly, months go fast, years go even fast. It's the whatever. I have to stop. But
yeah, how's it 2025 when it was Y2K like 5 minutes ago? A quarter century's gone by.
Oh man, yeah. So anyway,
yeah, we're old.
We're old. Oh yeah, we are definitely old. So yeah, I was over at a friend's house and they answered last night, and he answered the door, and what he said to me is, "We're both old and gray." That was how he greeted me. He saw me standing there, and he must have thought, "God, look at her. She's old and gray."
Well, no, I had a man just stare at me for like 10 minutes and go, "I just can't see you in there." And then after about, an evening, he goes, "There you are. Now I see you." And I go, "Well, I think the last time he'd actually seen me, I was like 10.
God.
So,
God.
or maybe 16.
Yeah.
In the full blush of youth. Yeah, no, I don't look like that anymore. Nothing like it.
Well, whatever.
I just laughed at him. I said, well, it's me. I'm in here. I've been here the whole time, so I can assure you it's me. Yeah. And I'm so unvain at this point that I just find it amusing, which is another way that I know that I'm old, because I don't think in my 40s I could have imagined not being vain.
Yeah. I totally get you, because well, part of it is not wanting
being able to fix yourself up to your satisfaction.
No,
I give up.
Part of it is not caring to attract any.
Right. I am not interested in anyone else, in attracting anybody else's gaze any longer.
Yeah. And
unless it's a bartender or a service person, and in which case I'd rather not be invisible, but that doesn't work that way.
Right. Where
wait a minute, that's a funny mother story. One of the last times that she was traveling by herself.
Yeah.
And she was sitting at the piano bar in
the Dallas
Airport.
No, I think it was Dallas. She was on a connecting flight in the Dallas area.
Well, someplace, and she was sitting next to a black man.
Yeah.
And they each needed a drink, and the bartender was all over the place and wouldn't wait on either one of them. And Mother struck a conversation up with the guy about how, interesting it was that they were each invisible.
Yeah.
And she made a big clamor and got him a drink.
Got them both a drink. Yeah, I remember telling that story.
They struck up a friendship.
Yeah, she had a really good time.
Their time together. Yeah.
The two invisible ones. So I there was an article somewhere that I read, and do you know who Melanie Sanders is?
Nope.
You'd like her, I guess. She's I haven't looked at her, but she puts videos out. She's 45 years old, so young to us. And she's one of those influencers on social media. But her whole thing is, I don't care. She's taking the expectations for women and saying, I don't care. She says, I don't care if I don't show up for the family cookout. I don't care if I have chin hairs. I don't care if my nails aren't done. I don't care. And she does all these things where she says it's just so liberating to free my mind from caring so much about things that don't really matter, and that women
that eat your time, erode your confidence, and spend your money.
Yeah.
And for nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're only, it seems to me, changing your hair color or, augmenting this or changing that if you feel bad about the way you look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so there's all these industries that are just based on the fact that first, we have to feel bad about ourselves. Make sure we feel bad about ourselves, and then they're going to fix it. While they're extracting money and painting you up like a clown, dressing you in see-through clothes, and having you walk around naked. And we are at a point that if you can't tell this isn't in your best interest, I don't know. Because really.
Well, that brings us to Lauren Sanchez Bezos.
Oh my God, the pinup doll. I mean, why this woman wants to look like if you put a pin in her, the air will come out, I don't know. In any part of her body, her cheeks, her lips, her boobs, her hips, her ass, any place.
Yeah, but
she's certainly symmetrical.
Well, there's she literally is wearing a corset to cinch that waist in, like women did, in the Gilded Age. I guess it makes sense that the rich did it in the Gilded Age, and we're back to the Gilded Age, and so she's trying to bring that back. Never mind. And she said to somebody, breathing is overrated
Great.
because you can't breathe like that.
No, you're also rearranging your internal organs and everything else.
Tis true. But what is it? I don't understand. Before we get to
okay, let me ask a question. Do you find her attractive?
Not at all. Not at all.
Well,
I find her horrific looking.
The end result is not attractive. I mean, if the end result, if your goal is to look like a plastic blow-up sex doll, okay, but I think that's what we should be talking to you about.
But you know what?
That's not normal.
Well, he finds her attractive, obviously.
Oh God, he gives her such freedom to do all this stuff to her to please him.
It's the weird thing, and I truly don't understand it, is people have compiled these before and after pictures of these women, and it is in Trump world. So you look at there is that look, and they're all less attractive than they were. The number one is that woman Guilfoyle, who was Don Jr.'s girlfriend. She originally was married to Gavin Newsom in another life, if you can imagine.
I remember that.
I've
held that against him for a very long time.
Yeah, well, I still do. I saw a picture of him and her as man and wife, and she was lovely. I kid you not. She was beautiful. This is before any plastic surgery. She was a lovely looking woman. And when you see what she's chosen to remake her face into, this hideous mask, and Eric Trump's wife, Laura, same thing. She used to be not beautiful, but a normal looking woman. And she's now, if you haven't seen her lately, she's done the work. And so her lips are strange and too big, and her cheekbones are like strange as well. They make themselves into grotesqueries. I mean,
they're supposed to look like sex dolls. Those aren't lips. Those are something into which to insert something else. I mean, it's just this graphic sort of low-class advertising. You know, put yourself in a window in Amsterdam in the brothel. I mean, that's what it is. Why would you want to look like that?
And if you check out what Margaret's just saying, that Bezos's wife, Lauren Sanchez, was, if you look at her before she ever bumped into him, she was an attractive woman. Her natural look was very attractive.
I'm sure.
And she's destroyed herself. What are Susan?
Somebody made her feel very ugly and unworthy, such that she did this to herself and thinks she looks better. This is what I'm asking. This doesn't make any sense.
No, they are. Well, what's that Robert Burns poem? If we could, he wrote it sort of in Scottish, so I don't do it. The gift to see ourselves as others see us. This is something that so many don't have. We cannot.
None of us have it. None of us see ourselves as others see it. But that we don't have to freak out about it. I just think that we should assume that the way, unless there's something, unless you have a cleft palate and it needs to be corrected, the lips that came with our face look right on our face.
Unbelievable.
And I'm sorry if I in my family, I wish I got your mouth, but I didn't. But my daughter got it, so that's nice. I don't quite know how that works.
Well, yeah,
but my daughter definitely looks like your and Eric's child. So.
Well, I did get in bed with him a few times.
You did. It used to freak him out.
Yeah, and Barbara is sending pictures of Kristi Noem. That's true, before and after. When she was hoping to be Trump's vice presidential pick, before she put out that book bragging about how she shot her puppy.
Killing puppies, yeah. Step too far.
A slight miscalculation. She started the surgery because she figured it had to. And if you look at the way she looked, so she did it too. I know we're forgetting others, but it's just mind blowing. Oh,
well, they're all very obvious. That's all I have to say.
Milton has sent to me the poem. Wait. Yeah, and I can't. Oh, wad some power the gift to give us to see ourselves as others see us. As others see us. Yeah. Well, they're hideous. I mean, just these women are hideous, and I can't get over. I can't get over that they willfully do this to themselves. Can't.
Well, and the thing is, as you get older and older, you either have to keep subjecting yourselves to more and more painful and awful surgeries, or everything just starts falling anyway, and then if you keep doing the surgeries, you end up looking like one of those crazy, those ladies that's done surgery all her life, and just looks like a monster.
Yeah. Brooke writes,
I look at her mother, who's had a couple of eye lifts because her eyelids kept drooping so badly she couldn't open her eyes. The same thing happened to you. And other than that, just looks like herself.
Well, you know what? You know what happened to me?
She's beautiful.
I had to do one eye. One eye was drooping so that my vision was. And
then the other eye had a match.
No, but so I had that surgery done where they pull that eyelid up.
Yeah.
And the surgeon who did it screwed my look up, because that eye that had the surgery doesn't match my normal eye. It doesn't look.
No, he did. Yeah, and he raised it too high.
I don't know what he did. No, it was a she. I don't know what the hell she did, but she screwed up my face, and I don't know why anyone would ever have
would willingly do this, right?
No. Well, I mean, when you do it like that, if you have plastic surgery, insurance doesn't cover it. But, insurance covered that because it wasn't plastic surgery. It was vision surgery.
No, it was so you could see.
But unfortunately, it mucked my face up. So I'm very unhappy. Brooke wrote, I watched to see who was at Bezos's wedding. I thought I was watching The Twilight Zone. Well, I figure anyone who was at that wedding is dead to me. If I liked them before, I don't like them anymore. Anyone who went to that wedding, and that includes you, Oprah. Anyone who went to
in the end, she's just a billionaire.
Yeah,
it screws people up, all except what's his name, who just gave away what, $6 billion.
I don't know who. Buffett?
You know who I'm talking. I'm
Buffett?
talking about the man, the investor that everybody.
Soros?
Buffett.
What? Who? I don't know.
Buffett.
Buffett. Well, I
Buffett.
said Buffett. Yeah.
No, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Because you'll never hear me because you're talking. Excuse me.
It's absolutely correct.
Kurt writes, I saw a picture of Mrs. Bezos this morning, and I thought to myself, her dead name is Michael Jackson.
That's a very good one.
Yes. All right, Kurt, you scored. That is a good one.
Yay!
Oh, dear God in heaven, help us. Okay, so whatever. Yeah, and as for Oprah, Watchman is saying, she gave us Dr. Oz too. She gave us Dr. Phil. She gave us Dr. Oz.
She gets so many toxic human beings.
Yeah, that she's elevated and made into celebrities. God. Yep. All right, Oprah, dead to us. So, just in the same.
But this means, interestingly enough, this means that Katy Perry is still on your good to go list and Orlando Bloom is off.
No. Katy Perry is definitely not on my good list. Did Orlando Bloom go there?
Yes, Yes, he went.
Okay.
She's on her Australian tour, but if they hadn't broken up, I think she would have been there.
Well, jeez. Wasn't she with Russell Brand?
Yeah, she was on the 10-minute astronaut ride.
Oh, and on the 10-minute astronaut ride, and with Russell Brand. So that maybe suggests Orlando Bloom is no great shakes either, because she's got bad taste.
She's got pitiful taste in men.
Yeah. So Art writes, speaking of appearances, I had the greatest fun the other day watching the Pennsylvania game from around 1988. Love those shoulder pads. Yeah. Oh, it's unbelievable. The shoulder pads, but they match the big hair. It's
right. You had to even your head out.
Yeah, so the hair almost goes out to the end of the shoulder pads. So, yeah. Oh God, it's unbelievable. Yeah, that show for some reason is back. I keep getting
and everybody's looking at you.
Somebody sent me a still photo they took from the TV in their hotel room I think they were in Harrisburg. And they said, I'm here in Harrisburg, and I turned on the TV and look what I saw. And there I am, shoulder pads, big hair. The Pennsylvania game was on. So I think what it must be is PBS stations are struggling, and they're having to figure out if they can recycle any programming. And somebody must have said, this Pennsylvania game is sort of fun to watch. So it's making I have a correspondence with this guy serving life in prison, and he always is seeing it in prison. It's part of, I guess, they've gotten rid of solitary confinement, and instead,
they make him watch Lynn Cullen
Pennsylvania game.
In shoulder pads and big hair.
Yeah.
But you were, I'll hand it to you. You were vivid on TV because you had, because of your coloring, and you just, you've got. Mom gave you a great gift.
Well, I don't know about that. Women on television at that time were mostly blonde. I was not.
I know.
And they liked blonde. Here's why they like blonde women. Not
because
just
the lights and the camera do better on
that's
blonde than
right,
on black.
because the camera doesn't have the problem of whether it to open up for the dark hair or to close down for the lighter skin or for whatever. So blondes are believed to photograph better. God. Hey, guess what I listened to the other day? Barbara Streisand.
Hey, what?
Is that what that sounded like? Oh,
Yeah.
oh God. Jesus. Oh man. Well, look, I am who I am.
That's what happens when you don't put on makeup, Lynn.
So hey, I heard
so what? So
Barbara
Streisand
Streisand has come out with an album of duets that she does with various
everybody.
And one duet is with Bob Dylan.
I saw that.
Well, I went and looked.
Which part did he take?
Well, no, it's unbelievable. They're singing like this torch song, the one, the very sight of you. Mm-hmm. That song. Yeah. And he does it straight. And it's lovely. It's still.
Well, he's an old guy now. He could stop being Bob Dylan for a minute, stop being the asshole character and just sing a song with Barbara Streisand. How cool is that? Even he must have thought that was sort of cool.
Well, he must have. You know what? And it turns out, have you seen this? That he has said he wrote one of my favorite. I think it's just I would die if he would have written this for me. Lay, lady, lay.
Lay, lady, lay, yeah.
Lay across my big brass bed. Well, he wrote that for Barbara Streisand.
He did?
Yes, he said so. Go figure.
So he must have been thrilled when she asked, but why didn't they sing that, I wonder? Well, because there's no part for her.
Yeah. There's no part for her. Oh, that don't work. All right, we got a caller here.
About what? One wonders.
I can't even begin to imagine. And I can't believe I'm dodging all these more serious subjects.
Oh God.
It's okay. It's okay. If we found ourselves dodging them, let's do it. Go with it. Caller, hello.
Good morning, ladies.
Hi.
Good morning.
I know you've kind of moved on, but what I just wanted to say when you were talking about all that despicable plastic surgery, I think as women, we have always caved to attracting men. When you think about the Victorian women drinking just a little bit of arsenic to be very white.
Right.
I mean, poison. I mean, just to attract someone. It's unbelievable. But the way these women look, there was something on YouTube about that it's a face for the White House. That, I mean, they're all falling for it. It's incredible.
It is. It is. It is truly mind-blowing. It is like the Twilight Zone. It's like everybody, all the women, it's a different kind of Stepford Wives thing, that all women must look the same.
But for the life of me, I just can't understand how they could look in a mirror and think that they look better, because they all look ridiculous.
They don't look better. Their skin, nothing looks A, normal, or B, better. And but it depends on what your frame of reference is. If we aren't going for blow up doll, and they are.
I suppose you're right. But that's all I wanted to say. Okay. And carry on, ladies, because you guys are always so interesting.
Thank you. Carry on. We shall. Thank you. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. Bye. Oh boy. So just one more thing in this regard. Um, have you happened to see the documentary My Mom Jane?
Yes, I
You
did
have?
watch it.
You did see it?
Yes.
For those of you who don't
Yeah.
know, this is a documentary by the actress Mariska
Haggerty.
Haggerty is what I always said, but then in the documentary, I realized I've been mispronouncing her name, Hargitay. And her mom was the
Jane
actress
Mansfield.
bombshell Jane Mansfield, who died at what 34 years old.
Yeah.
In a horrific car accident, and her children were all in that car with her. But the thing, I mean, it just makes you want to scream. Um, what women have had to do. Jane Mansfield,
Right, because she was another smart woman.
She spoke how many? She spoke something like 6 languages. She was a virtuoso violinist
And
played
pianist.
a mean piano. She was bright as blazes and a classically trained musician. And what was your thought of her? My thought was she was
I thought she was, even as a little girl, I thought she was the rhinestone to Marilyn Monroe's diamond.
Yeah, exactly. She was just another ditz.
A poor
Ditzy
imitation of a dumb blonde, but she was the real thing in terms of being dumb.
Yeah.
Is what I thought. And the sad part is that that's how her daughter felt about her.
Well, sure, because her daughter never really knew her.
Only her daughter didn't know her. She just knew the image, and she didn't like the image, which it turns out none of her kids did, and they called it her voice. I mean, the voice, which was not her voice, the one that we heard.
But then you also see how there's a clip of her in this documentary, like on Jack Parr's show, and I wanted to kill him. I wanted to strangle him. Because at the time she was trying to become she wanted more serious roles. She wanted to have people see her as a whole being. And she brought her violin out. She said, "You want me to play a little bit?" And he actually cut her. I mean, he cut her off.
He cut her off the second that it was clear that she could actually play. He said, "Nobody cares." That's what he said.
Yeah, it was just like I wanted what women have had to deny of themselves to fit in. She was doing what she was the blow up doll of that era, a blow up doll. It was the only way she was allowed to be. I just, anyway, okay.
Yeah,
I'll stop.
Yeah, I watched that. I found it interesting.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways,
well, it was interesting because of the things she discovered about herself and Mariska
and her mother and who her mother was,
and her mother and her dad, and her dads, and her and what a kind, sweet man that Hargitay was. He was Mr. Universe at one point, and that was the only time Jane Mansfield had a good man. Yeah.
And she had him for the rest of her life, and and when he was married to someone else, and it makes her sound like she was so old at 34, but That's how I feel with Marilyn Monroe too. How much life these women packed into their very short lives.
Yeah, really. So.
And Jane Mansfield had a bunch of good-looking kids.
Anyway, wow. Just wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do want to, Susan, I do have to head into one heavier thing here. Do you mind?
Go for it.
We did more than half the show already, and we've.
No. It tis your decision as always.
Yeah, well, it's just I don't know what they are doing now. They're on Capitol Hill, but
they're trying to reconcile.
They're trying to reconcile. Have they? But the Senate has not yet passed.
They are voting, and they are not getting.
Fine.
They're having troubles.
But you got to figure, of course, they will somehow. They have to pull the rabbit out of the hat, because otherwise, they'll be, I guess, summarily executed.
No, I mean, we all know the end of the story. Rich people are going to get a whole lot richer, and the poorer people are going to pay for it. And it's going to come mostly out of the budgets to care for sick people, rural hospitals, and feeding poor people.
Yeah.
So, I hope everybody feels really good about that.
Okay, well, one more laugh before we head into that. Did you happen to see Alexandra Petrie in the Washington Post today? I'm going to read just a little bit of it to you. She has come up with, a different way of looking at the big, beautiful bill. Okay? Listen up. The big, beautiful bill assigns each American a billionaire who will live the American dream for you. Listen, she's just getting started. It's a riot. You can check in on your billionaire at intervals and see how he is using your money. Maybe he's building a 19th pool. Maybe he's buying himself some formerly public land. Maybe he's taking a Supreme Court justice on a dream vacation. Who knows? There's never a dull moment for the lucky beneficiaries of our money. Remember the Adopt a Highway program? Well, this is like that, the big, beautiful bill, except that at the end of it, so instead of adopting a highway, we adopt a billionaire. But at the end of it, the highways will all be worse, and a man who doesn't know your name will have 6 extra helicopters. And when you're sick of checking in on your billionaire, don't forget to pop in and look at ICE, the other thing your dollars are working hard to support. No, not their faces, those are still hidden, but you can check out the wonderful new facilities they're building. Well, you can't personally, and they have said that your members of Congress can't either, but you can imagine how wonderful they are. I mean, for $45 billion, they must be pretty wonderful. Which would you rather have? Support for your grandfather's retirement, or the reassuring knowledge that somewhere ICE is kidnapping someone else's grandfather and throwing him into a van? Would you rather have food for your child, or the sense that maybe you help contribute to building a big wall? As you struggle to find an elder care facility that will accept Medicaid because all the ones in your state have closed, just know that you're living the American dream of having a costly internment facility built with your money. Did I say internment facility? I mean alligator Alcatraz. Yeah, and they're selling t-shirts. And as your own dreams shrivel, remember that someone, somewhere, is being made even more miserable than you. That's the new American dream. that someone is being punished in your name, and somewhere else a billionaire is happy. Your personal billionaire. I think that's brilliant.
It is brilliant. Good for her.
And the idea that the new American dream is making sure someone is more miserable than you are.
Well, it's just an extension of the way they've gotten us here, which is by dividing us and making sure that we understand that whoever they've divided us from is our enemy.
Unbelievable. Yeah. But I appreciated that she could do that and, make me laugh once. But yeah.
Right. You start out laughing and then you just want to throw your head against a wall.
Yeah. And I also just want to share two excerpts from some of the floor speeches the Democrats are making, or in this case, no, the independent Angus King of Maine. He stood on the floor yesterday and said, "Imagine a bunch of guys sitting around a table saying, 'I've got a great idea. Let's give $32,000 worth of tax breaks to a millionaire, and we'll pay for it by taking health insurance away from lower income and middle income people. And to top it off, how about we cut food stamps, we cut SNAP, we cut food aid to people?'" And then he says, "I've been in this business of public policy for 20 years, 8 years as a governor, 12 years in the US Senate. I have never seen a bill this bad. I have never seen a bill that is this irresponsible, regressive, and downright cruel." And can you imagine that the Republicans in there listening, if they are, probably not, but maybe hearing some of it despite themselves? Well, again, it's like I don't understand the women who make themselves into porn dolls, and I don't understand the men selling their souls.
No, I mean, and Josh Hawley, for all of his screaming and screaming, because he knows that this is going to wipe out his state. He's voting for it. He was one of the first gavers.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but
I'm scared. Right.
Yeah.
So I thought Sheldon Whitehouse, senator from Rhode Island, was really good. He said this: "This place feels to me like a crime scene. Get some of that yellow tape, put it around this chamber. This piece of legislation is corrupt. This piece of legislation is crooked. This piece of legislation is a rotten racket. This bill cooked up in back rooms, dropped at midnight, cloaked in fake numbers with huge handouts to big Republican donors. It loots our country for some of the least deserving people you could imagine. When I first got here, this chamber filled me with awe and wonderment. Today, I feel only disgust."
Well, for all the good it'll do.
Well, I can assure you that my senator, Fetterman, is not making such an eloquent speech.
No. Well, he's gone.
He's gone just off the deep end. I don't. Okay. Well. Oh, one more thing. I've got something else here about just checking in on the billionaires. Okay. Just want to make sure we keep up with them. This one has to do with the Zuckerbergs. Don't know if you saw this.
Oh, yeah. They're closing this school.
They closed the school. So his wife, Mrs. Zuckerberg, who, I'll give her this, still looks like she looked. As far as I can tell, has not had the surgery. Her name is Priscilla Chan. And 2016, so about 10 years ago, with great fanfare, she opened a school for disadvantaged children in East Palo Alto, California. And she said at the time, a persistent academic achievement gap separates white children and children of color. A similarly large health gap mirrors these differences. And she was saying, she's a pediatrician, and she was saying, I am in for the long haul to really understand the full impact of your work, she said. You're just going to have to be patient. As she said, we're going to get to work on this, and we're going to be patient, and we're going to start closing these gaps. Not only didn't she close any gaps, she's closing the school. Because helping DEI children is not what she and her husband want to be seen doing these days. It's not cool. It can get in your way.
It's don't you love that they truly must believe in what they believe in because it shifts with the political wind?
Yeah. 90% of the school's children were Black, Latino, Asian, Pacific Islander, multiracial. Closing it down. What vile humans.
Well, they like the new rule better because it doesn't require that they in any way be generous. They just get to keep it all and ask for more.
Washman is telling us that Fetterman was heard complaining that he couldn't join his wife and kids at the beach. What a creep, says Watchman. My God. So, and I was, trolling through the New York Times and I can't, I've said this before, but I can't even bear to read these stories anymore. I see the headline.
No, I can't either.
You see the headline.
I start out trying to read the newspaper and I can't.
You can't. You just can't.
I mean, I go to, I just start reading the advice columns. That's it.
Well, I was just, so I was scrolling, and it said, here's a headline. U.S. aid cuts may cause 14 million more deaths in the next 5 years. Do I want to read that? Do I need to know anything more than we now are citizens of a country that is killing millions of children and people? Here's another headline. Appeals court seems likely to back Trump's deportations under wartime law. You mean we still have appeals courts?
Well, only if they are appealing and ruling in the way that the current administration wants. Otherwise, no.
Right. And then here's another one. Paramount and Trump in advance discussions to settle $20 billion lawsuit. That is a shakedown by Trump of CBS. There's no value. They did nothing that would win in a court of any law, except our Supreme Court probably. And but Paramount's going to pony up millions and millions of dollars just to shut the thief up for a little bit. Unbelievable. All right. I'm sorry, guys. What are we?
No, I was just doing a quick search through and, nothing.
Well, no, there's nothing. I mean, these are serious times, and we're living in, exceedingly, well, I needn't tell you what you already know.
Right.
Roger,
but in order to live to fight another day, I've got to limit my my wallowing in the filth.
Yeah.
Done in my name. I mean, that's the worst part of all of this. That this cruelty is being exercised in our name, and and I want all of the people out there that not to mess up issues, but the people that think all Jews think the same way about all issues, and therefore we're all responsible for everything that Netanyahu does. That's how a lot of people think about every single American now, even though, not all of us voted for him, but this is all being done in all of our names. We can writhe and try and get out from under this all we want, but it's ours. It's ours. Just like we accepted all the glory of the country we used to be, all the filth of it now, that's ours. Ugh.
Well, Roger has written, and I'll share his email. I like your less serious discussions. Well, sorry, Roger. Well, it lasted as long as.
I fell off the edge.
Yeah,
okay.
And I was going to call in, but you needed to move on to reality. Okay. But he said, I was just reading about Jane Mansfield. What a complicated woman. Her burlesque appearances made her a lot more money than her movies. And she did that when, she couldn't. It's just so
no
sick.
one would hire her.
No one would hire her, and she had to
make
softcore
porn. Right.
Yeah, so she did burlesque. And this is a classically trained musician and serious woman. Speaking of burlesque, Roger says, when we first moved to Pittsburgh in the 90s, my daughter and I would wake up early on Sundays while my wife snoozed a couple more hours. My daughter was 7 years old, the first time she rode her bike, while I ran from Bellevue across the McKees Rocks Bridge. That's a long bridge, Susan. To the convenience store for a glorious Sunday morning breakfast of Yoo-Hoo and Slim Jims. God. While chowing down outside the store on the curb, my daughter, while looking at the establishment across the street, asked, "What's Stiffies?" Is it still there? I don't know. Roger says, I told her it's a place where people dance. Avoiding the misnomer of gentleman's club as opposed to the real one of a strip club. I wonder if Mansfield performed there back in the day. Stiffies. Who knows? My God.
No, I think she was a cut above strip joint.
She didn't take her clothes off.
The burlesque circuit was a slightly higher class thing.
John Kenneth Galbraith said this, and Barbara sent this, what he said. The modern conservative, and man, this is when they actually were, this is the good old Republicans. The modern conservative is engaged in one of man's oldest exercises in moral philosophy. That is, the search for a superior moral justification for selfishness. There it is. They've always been. Always been. Oh. Robert says he's binge watching.
And it's not like we can't see what they do with the money. I mean, we've just been treated, whether we wanted to or not, to a 5-day, wedding and a rocket ship ride that we're all supposed to be impressed by, and it's like, really? Okay. Give us the money back.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Bob in Braddock writes, thanks to one of your emailers, they may have started a trend. Everyone can binge watch every episode of the Pennsylvania game. Oh my God. On WQED's website. All you got to do is type in the Pennsylvania game in the search box. And may I say, Robert says, wow, you look great in the episodes in which you were a panelist and host. And a fun fact, one of those episodes you hosted, one of the panelists was none other than one of your longtime friends and colleagues and one of this state's pioneering black media personalities, Chris Moore. Yeah. And then I ended up being essentially a panelist on his show, which was on WQED on Friday nights before Washington Week in Review. Yeah, well, we get around. But yeah. No, so the guy in prison is always writing and saying, so I watched the Pennsylvania game again, and there was one, and he gets fascinated by certain questions, and tells me that you said you didn't know the answer. You said this, you said that. And when he tells me the questions, I'm thinking, how did I know any of these answers? They're like, what? And it's not like I'm from Pennsylvania. I never learned any Pennsylvania facts. And it's just, I think I was a good guesser a lot. I don't know. But we were, it's funny that this came up because I was talking to friends last night about one of the panelists was at one point Nancy Culp. You remember her?
Oh, I remember Nancy Culp. She had the very short hair and square jaw.
Yeah, she was the actress who played Miss Hathaway on.
Yes, we call them actors now.
On the Beverly Hillbillies, right?
Right.
Yeah. And
she was the business manager, right?
Yes. And she was a Pennsylvanian, and she, at the time, I think had come back and was teaching at Juniata College, and then she ran for Congress. But if you know anything about Pennsylvania geography, Juniata College is in red Pennsildania, and ain't no way, because she was a liberal Democrat, that she got elected. But yeah, she sort of hit on me.
I'm not surprised. Well, Lynn, as we were speaking, you were dazzling with your shoulder pads and big hair.
I mean, those,
and red lips,
yeah. Nancy, definitely, yeah. We had dinner after the show along with some of the other people, and man, yeah, I ended up getting very uncomfortable. And then, oh dear God. So there's all that. Hey, and guess what? With that, it's 10 o'clock your time, Suze. Huh? We done did it.
It's 10:01. Yeah, we did it. Okay, well, I think it's good for us to start the day with a laugh and let it, at least you're high enough that if it's all downhill from here, it can't be all that bad.
Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Suze.
Okay. Happy July, everybody.
Yeah. Bye. Happy July. Where does the time go? I have to go change my calendar. Yeah.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.